Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Recently I've been really into Emma Frost, especially after her introduction to Marvel Rivals. I am a newer Marvel fan, I'm trying to get into the comics and things of that nature, so I don't really know a whole lot about their lore, especially X-Men. I think the X-Men are the most fascinating to me, so I'm trying to learn them. I've heard Emma Frost kind of is like the overruler, I think, I'm not sure. Exploring Comics is the channel that this is from. Of course, the original video will be in the description. So let's learn more about Emma Frost.
What's going on, Nerd Army guys? Welcome to the newest episode of Exploring Comics. Today we will be exploring the history and origin of Emma Frost, the blonde bombshell from the X-Men universe. Now, this character, all in all, is a great character. Started as a villain, ended up being a hero, still a really good character. All of those in between, but let's get right into her origin and check her out. All right, guys, here we go.
I'm checking her out right now.
Emma Frost would make her first appearance in comics.
Man, you gotta move! No, I'm just kidding. Move! Just go to the right or the left just a little bit.
In Uncanny X-Men number 129. Now, we would discover that Emma was actually from a wealthy family, but she was picked on and bullied throughout all of school. Now, her abilities first manifested during puberty, and she would actually use these abilities to become the top student in class. She would use her telepathic abilities to know all the answers before they even read the question. Now, Emma Frost would run away from home at a young age, but that was only after her father found out.
I wish I had those, especially during math class and history. I'm horrific at that.
She is having a romantic relationship with one of her teachers. Now, no need to worry. Emma would be fine. Using her powers, she was able to land on her feet no problem. Now, what she decided to do at that point was start amassing a fortune. Now, she used her abilities to work her way up the corporate ladder and start amassing her own fortune so that she would be taken care of for the rest of her life. Because of the high-end status that she created for herself and put herself on such a plateau, she was eventually invited to join the Hellfire Club, which only the brightest and the biggest of the big are ever invited to join them. Now, while she was in the club,
so that's where Hellfire came from. That makes sense.
By the name the White Queen, where at this time she would help the club start to go after global and financial domination of the world. Now, eventually she would go on and read one of the members' minds and find out that their true mission was to kill all mutants. Now, that was the true mission of the Hellfire Club originally, was to kill all mutants. Now,
Hellfire is technically an organization that wants to kill mutants, but aren't the X-Men mutants? Am I wrong? Oh, I could see where that could come in to her being the villain. Okay, never mind. I'm getting it.
Fellow mutant Sebastian Shaw, she would go ahead and take down all the rest of the members of the Hellfire Club and rename it the Inner Circle. Now, she would take on the duties of running a prep school, but in this prep school, it was actually a front for them to recruit members to the Inner Circle. Now, Emma would get into a great battle with the X-Men, and she would be left in a coma at the end of this. But her last wishes were that her students and her school were left in the care of Charles Xavier. Now, an enemy is still an enemy, but a human would destroy...
Am I missing something? Who's Charles?
...all the mutants in that school, where Charles would make sure they're safe, and she knew that. Now, when Emma awoke from her coma, her school had been merged with Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. She was extremely pissed at the fact that Xavier just merged the two schools, but eventually the X-Men and the rest of the team would get together and win her over. She would eventually go on to join the X-Men, and she would go on to begin training the team.
So the X-Men were like, hey, she's kind of cooking, helps her out, and that's how she joins, especially after a coma. You know what? That makes sense. Why would Xavier merge the schools? I don't know the guy, but I'm Team Emma Frost on this one.
Generation X. Now, Emma would later on go to teach at Genosha when she would be the only survivor of a huge Sentinel attack, calling it the Sentinel Massacre. Now, she only survived because of her secondary mutation, which causes her to get diamond solid skin, making it almost unbreakable. Now, after this, Emma would return to teach at the School for Gifted Youngsters, where she became really close friends with Beast and had a deep sexual attraction to Cyclops. Not to mention at this
Oh.
time, Jean and Cyclops were kind of drifting apart. Now, to make things even worse, Emma would actually offer Scott some psychic counseling to get...
I didn't realize there was so much romance drama in Marvel. What the hell do you mean to tell me that Cyclops is getting hoes like that? All it takes is this and they're dead. You know, just and then they're gone. Cyclops? Really? It's like Deathpool. Or not Deathpool, whoa. I'm thinking of Hela. Hela is Deadpool. Wow, that's hard to say. I don't get why they were together. They were total opposites. Thanos easily killed more people than Deadpool, but for some odd reason, Hela was like, oh, you must come from that red assassin. And everyone's like, he was purple. Maybe they're all colorblind. I don't know.
There are some issues that he's dealing with. But this would eventually blossom into a full-on psychic affair the two would have. Jean was tipped off that this was happening and rushed to the room and actually jumped in and found them together on the astral plane.
This is a
Jean
mess.
was so furious, she attacked Emma, going through every memory she has in her mind and pulling up the worst ones and making her relive them right there, torturing the woman. Now, Jean would forgive and forget eventually because one day, Esme, a former protege of Emma, would actually shoot Emma in a weak spot in her diamond form, killing her, breaking her into a million pieces.
What?
Beast would almost frantically break down and find every one of the pieces to reassemble Emma. But nothing happened. Jean Grey, or should we call her Jean the Forgiveful, would actually use her abilities to bring Emma back to life. Yeah.
Jean's a better woman than me.
Jean Grey's on that level, guys. Watch my history of Jean Grey. Link downstairs. Now,
I'm
the
thinking about
X-Mansion
it.
has been destroyed many times over the years, but at this point, the X-Mansion was actually destroyed by the villain Zorn when he came to took over Manhattan. Now, what had actually happened at this point, after the fact of Zorn being taken down, Jean Grey would be killed during this whole thing. Jean Grey was killed off during this whole event with Zorn. Now, after Zorn was taken care of, Emma and Scott would work together and rebuild the school, and the two would remain there as co-headmasters. Now, when the House of M storyline happened, Emma was one of the few mutants in the world that still retained their powers after the event. Now, during this event, Emma was married to Scott Summers, and they had 3 beautiful children. But this was not the real world, and she knew it right off the bat. Everything would eventually be restored. She remains a big...
So in an alternate universe, her and Cyclops were married with children, and poor Jean, she just like died. No, justice for Jean. What is happening? Hold on, let's go back.
She knew it right off the bat. Everything, but this was not the real world, and she knew it right off the bat.
Okay.
Everything would eventually be restored. She remains a big part of the X-Men universe. Now, her powers, all in all, she is considered an Omega level.
I thought she just lost. I thought she was an amputee.
Telepath. She is extremely powerful. She can actually use her abilities to make psychic shields, project thoughts into people's minds, control their minds, and even project illusions in front of them. Also, in her diamond form, she is nigh unbreakable, and except for like that one spot, like I told you. And
where is
she's
it?
An all-around badass. Also,
back of the neck.
Penetrated by other telepaths when she's in her diamond form. So, I forgot to mention that she also does astral project as well. But also in
Thank God there isn't an eye tracker when it comes to this photo in particular. No reason.
Diamond form,
Don't worry.
she has superhuman strength, durability, and stamina. So she can go toe-to-toe with some big dogs in diamond form. Guys, what are your opinions about Emma Frost as a character all around?
She may be my favorite Marvel character that we've covered so far. She reminds me a lot of Catwoman. For those who don't know, I grew up loving DC. I played the Lego Batman games. I enjoy the Batman games, especially the Lego ones, because I had a Catwoman Lego figurine I would hold in the palm of my hand as a little girl until she went lost. She was magnificent. I love anti-heroes. I love it when they switch teams. Like, I don't like them to be predictable. And I feel like Emma Frost is far from that, but I don't agree with the cheating part. That's not cool. I would have never guessed that. That makes me excited for Cyclops to join the Marvel Rivals battle. Because, like, those voice lines are crazy. And with Jean? Jean looks cool, too. Should she be next? Let me know. Because There's a ton of characters I haven't covered yet. I've only ever covered Jeff, Storm, and now Emma. I've only stick to Marvel Rival characters, but I feel like I should go a little off and see what else I can find on specific Marvel characters. Thank you guys so much for watching through the end. If you liked the video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. Subscribe if you would like to. We had 1,000 subscribers. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. And I will see you maybe in the next video. Take care.